Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive! This week, on my series on the worlds of Kult Divinity Lost, I focus on Gaia. Gaia is the primal wilds, and also sort of the shortest chapter on each of the individual worlds that they put into the core book. I expect this will be a little bit shorter video than the previous, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy as I talk about the world of Gaia in Kult Divinity Lost. Just a quick reminder, if you like this video, please click like and subscribe down below. And hey, leave comments on what you like, what you didn't like, things you might want to see me talk about more in the future. And with that out of the way, let's just get right on into this. In his poem In Memoriam AHH, Alfred Lord Tennyson described nature as nature red in tooth and claw. And that is Gaia in a nutshell. Gaia is not just the wilds of Earth, not just the wilds that we know of. Gaia is the primal nature in and of itself. The primal chaos, the primal cosmos. You will see Gaia in a star going supernova, in that nebula spawned by that nova, over aeons, coalescing, spinning into a new star and solar system. And yet, you will also see Gaia in the wolf pack hunting the deer, in the elephants going off to die in the elephant graveyard, in the hyena going into a camp and dragging off a child to eat. That is all part of Gaia. Because Gaia is a realm where the strong survive only until they are old, weak, and then they are torn apart by the new generation, which makes itself stronger on the flesh of what came before. And when Malkuth decided where to imprison humanity, the Archon sliced a section of Gaia off, walled it off, and threw humanity there. And we were exiled into this primitive area. Learned to survive, learned to focus and harness this area, and started the process of rebuilding, building up cities, building towards Metropolis once again. But Elysium is not part of Gaia, though it's connected. And when I conclude this series in a couple weeks, I will be discussing Elysium in more detail. But you just have to understand that the veil that separates Elysium and Gaia is permeable. The creatures of Gaia, the denizens of Gaia, they hear the sounds come through. They smell the exhaust of our cars. They hear the bustle of our cities. They taste in the waters around this veil, the waters that flow from areas we have touched. And they are aware of this. And some things cross the veil What happens to them varies. Some just can't deal with it, can't survive what's on the other side, and others become dangerous threats. But at the same time, when you are throughout Gaia, you are dealing with everything. You are dealing with the stuff that when humanity were once the gods we were, we would take these things from Gaia and use them in our own creations. Our slave races were brought from Gaia and harnessed to our whims. Pets brought from Gaia, harnessed, slave to our whims and our way of doing things. But because of all this, Gaia touches into all of the worlds in Kult Divinity Lost. It transcends them because it's where they all are placed in to some extent. The caves and caverns that you find in places like Carlsbad and those unexplored caves all throughout the world, those as much are part of Gaia as they eventually connect to the underworld. And various places you can go through, find portals out in Gaia to Metropolis, to Inferno, to Limbo, to the Dreamlands. And Gaia connects, merges with all these to some extent. And from there, you have to take into account that there are things, entities out in Gaia that affect not just the world of Gaia, but our world of Elysium. So, let's go ahead and start talking about the denizens of Gaia. Of course, the most common denizens of Gaia are the wild beasts, the things that we think of in the untamed natural wild places. And you might see things in the depths of Gaia that are considered extinct in the rest of the world, in our world. But there are special entities, special denizens that are unique, shall we say, to the world of Gaia itself. The first of these are what are called the Enwilded gods. These might have been divine humans way back who wandered into Gaia to seek out enlightenment and further knowledge. And when the Demiurge exiled humanity, they were caught outside of Metropolis when that happened. They could be any number of other entities. They could be some of the forgotten gods that were imprisoned in Metropolis. Whatever the case, they are entities who are immutable. They live in Gaia. Sometimes things happen that kill them, but they don't stay dead. It might be when the time is right, it be immediately, or any other criteria. They will be born again, reborn into the world as what they were, with their knowledge and power. And sometimes they cross the border, cross into Elysium, and what happens to them is not known. Sometimes they are reborn quickly back into Gaia, but many of them never come back, are never seen or heard from again. And that is one of the enduring mysteries. What happens to those who we hear nothing back from? Do they stay in Elysium as what they were? Are they changed? What? But each one is unique. Each one is different. Each one is every bit a primal entity of some form. Of course, there's another set of entities that endure in Gaia. These are called the Sentinels. These are the beings that Malkuth set up to ward the border, to guard our prison. And these are varied beings. One is called the Black Tree, a gigantic tree that reaches up into the heavens with fallen angels, angels that had succumbed to the primalness of Gaia in its upper branches. And its roots go deep into the earth. And if it catches one of the enwilded gods, they are pulled down to its roots, down to the depths of its roots, where they are imprisoned and kept alive so that they cannot be reborn through eons of torment. And deep down there is a Nephirite that tortures these entities and gains information to give to this Nephirite's Death Angel Lord. And it is said that if you go deep enough into the roots, into the spaces between them on the Black Tree, that there is a portal to Inferno there. At the same time, there are vast differences in the Sentinels. There are Sentinels that are in the north, the Arctic, made of razor ice and sharp glass, and ice, and snow, and howling winds. There are things in the swamps, in the mire, that make up a sentinel. And these are just some of what they are. And then you have things that cross the border, that cross from Gaia into our world. One of these is the Strigatumulus. It is a beetle, and from its antenna it exudes a fungal spore. And this spore will get into a person's mouth, into our nose, and start working its way, consuming us from the inside. And this beetle will use this fungal desiccation of a person to control them, to use them as a zombie-like being to perform its will, its orders in Elysium. And these are really the sorts of main types of things that you will see in Gaia. Most often, though, you will see wild beasts. But then you have those weird things, those special things that are unique. And with that, I end this discussion on the world of Gaia. I look forward to talking to you next week when I talk about the Dreamlands. So until then, I would like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.